Hey everybody, welcome back to Visual Novel Book Club. I'm your pal Slow Beef. With me, of course, my good friend Oren Ronan.
Good evening.
My good friend Devious Vacuum.
Welcome back, gamers.
My good friend Jim.
Hey everybody.
My good friend Turbo C.
Hello.
My good friend Pulahoko.
Hey.
Listen, I have some sad news. Shibuya Scramble is no more. We have destroyed it.
It's no. You can't find it on Steam. Can't find it on PlayStation.
The bomb went off.
We've erased it from this
gone,
timeline.
but Minorikawa lives on.
As a single star in the sky.
He does. Is it an anime series?
That's true, actually, and I am very tempted. But look, we after the main story, there's some bonus content, and who wants to go over how this works, basically?
Oren does.
I do.
Do you, Oren? Or?
Well, the main ones just open up. They just in a separate part of the character selection screen.
Mm-hmm.
You tap to it on Windows.
Yeah, Canaan opens by finishing it, and then this other character, Suzune, finishes by finishing it and also having 50 bad endings.
That's right. Now, I don't know if you've ever played a thing called Mugen, or if that's like... The two new characters are Canaan, who is anime, and Suzune, who is an actress like we have seen, and Undertale or not, anime is not real, so it's a weird disconnect. I'll put it that way.
Yep.
Yeah, it looks very, very, very odd. So, but that said, they're two separate stories. There's no time chart. And they're completely linear.
Which is kind of a detriment considering how long some of them are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For some reason, they let you jump from them to the main storyline at the end. I don't know why.
Well, I thought that kind of goes into the one of the third story, or maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, I could be wrong on that. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. There's two jumps at the end. It's kind of weird. I didn't understand it, to be sure, but at any rate,
I thought it was just kind of a jokey thing.
Yeah, it's like
Might be.
We get maybe it is. Who knows? But what story do we want to talk about first, Suzune or Canaan? I think maybe we should start strong and go with Canaan.
I think we should start with Canaan too.
That's what I did first. I needed to know.
Yeah, me too.
I did it second.
Maybe starting strong is not the right word.
Well,
I will say
I heard that some people didn't really like this one. I like this one. If at least it could have been a little bit shorter.
So let me start with this. So Canaan is by Type Moon, who are the company behind the Fate series, which Diva can tell you a lot about. I didn't actually play Fate. I don't know what Fate is about even, and I never played it.
It doesn't matter. It's not... I know equally as much about what Fate is about as you do, having never watched it.
Oren, when you say Canaan is by Type Moon, do you mean that Type Moon wrote this and put it in the game?
It seems like it. I mean, they have the logo at the end. But the writer of this is the main writer for Type Moon. I think he is also the head of the company. And I've heard about his Japanese writing before. I mean, people talk about it often, foreigners who try to read it. And they say it's very, very difficult to read. And I didn't really believe it until I tried to read this. And yeah, this was torture for someone who's not completely native.
wow.
This is like the guy is both writing with a thesaurus open at all times and trying to find the most difficult word he can for every single noun. and then is also like his sentence structure is really complex and unclear and vague. And I basically gave up midway through and watched a YouTube video of the English one, of the English translation.
Oh my god!
And then I went back and just skimmed the text to see. And English translation actually simplifies it a lot. I mean, he writes really complex sentences, and the English translation changes things to make it simpler. Because I think the translators gave up too. honestly.
Wow.
Knowing nothing about this, like from any sort of level of real knowledge, it almost sounds like one of those people. It's like I'm trying to think of like the word, but it's like when you love the smell of your own farts when you write. Like it's like I want the most flowery prose.
Yeah, this is pretentious writing at its worst.
Yes, it is pretentious, right?
I can't describe it. You have to. I don't have an English equivalent for that. But it's bad and it's difficult if you're not completely 100% fluent in Japanese.
Pynchon or something like that.
Pynchon?
Yeah, Thomas Pynchon is a horrible read. He's a very well-respected author that I don't like to read.
Is it like Michel Foucault? Because I found Foucault was really, really dense, and I don't know, not for great reasons, but
I have never read any of your stuff, so I don't know.
But this is anime and video games, so like it's it's a different level because it's not like this is like David Cage in terms of
God.
Oh, I'm a video game and anime writer, not like a philosopher.
In college, I had my first thing in expositional writing was this thing called A Discourse on Language by Michel Foucault. And it is like a nightmare. It's like far and away one of the hardest things I've ever had to read. I'm trying to find a passage from it just because it's so like the opening sentence is like, I really hate this guy so much. I hope he has no friends.
Well, that's not fiction. In fiction, you can do so much worse if you're pretentious enough.
Yeah, I read Ready Player One.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah, so let's just, while Sloppy was looking that up, the fundamental premise of Canaan is that she is a super soldier because she has synesthesia.
Yep.
So like that premise, which is the premise of like a bad action, like a B tier action movie from 20 or 30 years ago, is like the idea of that premise being written in like the most flowery, difficult language possible is even more hilarious to me.
Yeah.
Maybe we should explain what synesthesia is, because I had to look that up.
It's a real thing. I know someone who has it.
It is a real thing. It's apparently like a neurological disorder where one sense, one of the five senses, can kind of be intermingled with other senses, and the game describes it as being able to hear shapes or see smells or something to that effect.
If I could put some video game trivia in here, the game Rez, which you may have heard of, the designer actually designed it because he wanted to describe his synesthesia.
Huh.
Oh, that's cool.
Yep.
Yeah, I think the most common one is like colors or sounds sort of become colors, or words become colors.
Yeah.
I read that around 4% of the U.S. population has it.
Yeah, I think the one person I know sees words, like written words, with colors.
Yeah.
Now let me ask you, your friend who has synesthesia, are they a super spy? Because now I understand it makes you really good at being a super spy.
Yeah, this is magic synesthesia we're talking about here.
This is there's a lot in here that made me go like, oh, come on.
Yeah, there's like this underlying additional observation, like that, as if like people who are synesthetes can like that, like the intention behind like the human intention behind like the creation of an object or like a written word or something like that is correlated with how the synesthete perceives it. So like, oh, these numbers are important, so Canaan sees them as a different color, like as if important is like this objective force that is placed on the object.
Yeah.
So that's how her powers work.
And then she dodges bullets at the end.
Yeah.
Right, because Canaan can
Because she can see the hate. Yeah.
That's not. What if I told you that's not even what I consider the most unrealistic part of this whole thing? But
Well, like there are like there's a basis for it in the fact that like I think somebody in Europe who had the memorization for like the most digits of pi had synesthesia, and that's how he could memorize so much. Because he could he was associating the sound of numbers with color, of the words of numbers with colors, and like that's like what like the fragment of a superpower that then it just exploded to like now things that are completely impossible.
yeah, I have actually heard that too. Like people like mathematical geniuses and such will like kind of envision numbers. I remember there was an interview where like somebody was like the number 5 was like a thunderclap to them and like things like that are, you know, strange and hard to envision, you know, but at any rate, we didn't take notes this time because I don't think we need to go over a full summary of this really.
No.
So, but maybe like just a general sort of what's going on here in the Canaan story.
Yeah, let's just bitch about it instead and not focus on the exact order of events.
All right, all these red flags I'm telling you, imagine the train scene from Breaking Bad, that episode, but like with that. And you know what, just go watch that instead. You don't even have to it's like, all right, so Canaan trained under a guy named Siam, and basically her town was wiped out by the Ua virus. It turns out she magically survived, so she has a blood pact to destroy the Ua virus. That's her object of revenge. Siam finds her, and he, I guess, trains women in the Middle East to like become assassins.
Yeah, there's a whole lot like Middle Eastern politics in here that feel like the writer like read Wikipedia for a while and then took the highlights and put them all in.
Yeah, exactly. This goes into Israel-Palestine stuff, and for like a train heist story, it's like, well, I don't know if you needed all this, but okay, you know.
As well as the Iraq War, and it's always fun to read about that written by non-Americans as an American, because it would not be written that way if this was a game that was written in America.
No. So the basic idea is they someone has hired them because there's a weapon being shipped by train through the Middle East, and they want to either recover the weapon if they can, or destroy it if they can't. And Siam employs Canaan to do this, and they're met by a third person named Sadaka. I'm probably butchering that pronunciation.
Alphard.
Which is who's really Alphard, but we don't know that yet. Because also their anime equivalents look absolutely nothing like the actresses in Shibuya Scramble. Yep. But whatever.
I could tell because she was wearing a black hood.
Yeah.
It's a very like Sith Jedi moment.
Yeah, exactly.
And I just the one good thing about this is that this is voice acted, and
it is, yeah.
Canaan and Alphard are played by my two favorite voice actors, Japanese voice actors ever. So Canaan is Miyuki Sawashido, who does a lot of things. And is very versatile. She's genocide show in Danganronpa.
It always goes back to that.
Oh.
We can't get away.
And Alphard is Maya Sakamoto, who I really like. She's also a great artist.
Who's she in Danganronpa?
She's Maki in V3, if you want to know.
You were making a joke, but I knew it was going to come.
Yep.
And so, like, Alphard looks like Canaan is like 14 or 16 or something. Alphard looks like she's 24 years old. She has a much deeper voice. She is much more physically developed. Like, it just blows my mind. I can't. Why didn't they just? Like, it seems like at the very least that the actress that they cast could have been like 17 or 18 years old and not like a little kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird because like as soon as they encounter each other too, one comes off as a child, the one comes off as an adult.
And she even plays into it, you know, where she's like, "Oh, this is just a kid that you have with you now." Like, it's just
half a person
weird.
or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, the heist is this: they're trying to find the weapon, right? But it's not on the train for some reason. But then they realize at a stop, more cars are added to the train. There's an explanation about train tracks here, how like the old style tracks were narrower, but like there's a new, better European style that's wider. But since this is like both tracks were used, they have to like physically lift the train cars up to load them onto the next track. And while that's happening, they added 3 cars. There's 2 cars of troops sandwiching a secure car with no one in it. Why wouldn't you put guards in the actual car with the weapon itself? I don't know, but they're not there. So the plan that Siam hatches is that Sadaka and Canaan, who have never worked with together and are not hitting it off because
Sadaka is the code breaker.
Alphard, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's right. Alphard is a code breaker in this. They are going to basically climb under the train cars in motion. That's one way to do it. And get to the middle car. They explain this by saying if they ran along the top, it would be instant death. And I think what they mean, because this comes up in a bit, is that the guards would hear them running on top of their train cars. So, anyway, they do that. They get in, and it turns out that the weapon they're after is a biological one called Ua Proto. And unfortunately, it's locked in a case. Is it locked in a case or in a room first?
Well, it's locked in a case first. In a room.
They're in a room first, right? So they have to crack the password. The good news is Alphard is a code breaker. The bad news is you only get 2 tries at the password before you get locked out.
Also, did you know the Pentium M was developed in Israel? Because this game lets you know.
Yeah, that's true, because they mentioned that it's like a Pentium M, right? And that it was developed in Israel, and they say something like, because it's like apparently the system is like kind of old, and like Alphard's like, what the hell is this? Like, this is like so crappy, and it's like the Pentium M was relatively Israel, and they're like, well, I thought Israeli, like, what is it, like technology was like the best, like Israeli software people, engineers, and they're like, yeah, I thought they were the coolest too. And this is like a conversation where they're like fangirling over, I don't know. So I'm sorry, we're getting to the like my least favorite part, which, like, you know, look, I know nobody gets computers in movies right. I shouldn't care, you know, and I laugh at my mom when she does it for like medical stuff. But like this code breaking thing, I hate it, because Alphard tries to hack the password. She has a hex editor open that they show, which, okay. And she can't quite get it. She fails the authentication twice, so she's locked out. It'll take them an hour. But even though there's like 4 hours to do this whole heist, they have to get back in like 5 minutes, because that's the time limit Siam set. Why? I don't know.
I think that's when the guards come back from the patrol.
Oh, okay.
And the hex editor is open to send the signal of the correct password to the lock. That's what the hex editor is supposed to do.
Yeah, they try to justify it somehow. It's bad.
Now, you may ask, how are they going to get the password if the code breaker doesn't know it? The answer is synesthesia, because Canaan goes at one point, wait, try this. And then she recites, and the voice actress does this too, by the way, a 31, not 32, 31 byte sequence in hex. Which, like, what the fuck? Where did you even get that idea to fuck that up that bad? Like, how did you do that? Damn it. Fucking damn it.
And even if you could, like, if this is like designed well, then you won't find the actual byte sequence in memory or in file. It's not encrypted.
But like, it's what's nutty about it too is like, if you have this giant thing of hex in front of you, and she's like, wait, these 31 are like a different color than the others. No, they're not. They're being put through the same software program. Like, that doesn't, there's nothing, no!
Yeah,
She could see the intent behind each of those letters and numbers.
Yeah,
that's why they're
there's
red.
this, like, this objective significance versus it being like, yeah.
It's actually just a 2-byte passcode, and she was just trying a bunch of different options.
So, yeah, it works. They get in and they get the case, but it doesn't even matter because Alphard forgot to disable another one of the alarms, and when Canaan picks up the case off of its little pedestal enclosure thing, then it sets off an alarm anyway, so all of that was for nothing.
No, Alphard didn't forget. Alphard just purposely didn't turn it on.
Well, you're right. Alphard later reveals that she purposely did this because it's part of the plan.
Like, they go to a little screen where it apparently the prompt was turn off alarms, yes or no, and Alphard just purposely picked no.
Right, because it was her intention, her secret intention, to kill everyone on the train and steal the virus for herself.
Mm-hmm.
Her and her mysterious team of other people who are on this train. And, like, there's this juxtaposition of, like, Siam and Canaan, and they were like, oh, we're trying to, like, kill minimal people in this. Like, we don't want to kill anyone in this to do this mission, and it all just goes to shit. Alphard's like, no, this was all part of my plan. And her goons who are off screen and other places on the train start shooting people.
Yeah.
My perfectly imperfect plans.
Well, no, this was like the story of how Alphard, like, I guess, decided that she had to start making perfectly imperfect plans because otherwise she couldn't defeat Canaan.
Oh my god.
Oh.
I need to be an idiot to beat this person.
I need to do something
That was the final sequence when they were fighting on top of the train, where she realized, like, oh, I need to be an idiot, and she throws the case off into the field somewhere.
So yeah, the other plot beat, of course, is she betrays her former teacher, kind of thing, and has her little moment with Siam, where she's like, I gotcha. I had to kill anybody who knew about me in the past. Let's have a really long conversation about this, even though there's really not time for that, but we'll do that because I'm so evil. And then she ends up on the top of the train, and they have the confrontation at the top.
She stabs him, and it says that it's fatal, but he can still live for another 30 minutes to do a final thing.
Yeah, and like run around and save the 3 people who survived on the train. Turn the brakes on.
You have to decouple the car, right? Because, like, I don't know jack shit about trains, but I don't think that's like a light switch, like.
Crap, I bent my elbow.
Fucking god. So then Canaan and Alphard have they're both on the top of the train. I think they both have guns, right? But Alphard's is drawing on Canaan, and has the high ground, so to speak, insofar as like she's upwind, and Canaan is basically like screwed because if she runs for her, she'll get shot. But Synesthesia to the rescue again, because she runs at her and she's able to like kind of see where she's going to shoot and dodges the bullets. Meanwhile, a helicopter that's going to pick up Alphard has arrived, and yeah, Alphard amazingly decides there's only one thing to do. And that's what she's not expecting, something completely stupid like Divac said, which is, she throws the goddamn case off.
That helicopter pilot, though, what a fantastic pilot. They're, like, keeping pace with this train and, like, hovering the ladder, like, right next to Alphard while she waxes about, like, oh, what should I do? Oh, I'm not ready to go yet. I want to, like, rub it in her face or whatever.
Right. Too evil to execute my plans. Like, oh, God.
Oh, you forgot that this is a flashback.
Yeah, there's so many layers of flashback.
And then there are flashbacks inside it too. Yeah.
Yeah, because she's arriving in Shibuya, right?
Yeah, she's
like,
on the
for
plane
the end
to
of the
Japan,
game.
Yeah.
And then she's like reminiscing about this whole thing. Yeah. And then there's even like a moment too, like she just doesn't go buy a ticket to Japan. She needs to like sneak into an airport in Shanghai and have a guy sneak her the ticket. And then she has like a moment with the guy like, yeah, you were good, but I knew you were coming. And he's like, I can't believe she knew I was coming. She must be really good, She is
destined to kill the serpent or whatever.
Yeah, that's right.
Really sad that her codename isn't like Mongoose or something. And they just say instead that she is another snake. But I guess they were trained by the same person, so.
Yeah, they have the same tattoo, as we find out in the end.
Yep.
I feel like that's just like what a weird way to find out that your like mentor figure like previously mentored someone else in like the exact same way, to the point where she even got a tattoo the same, because it made it seem like it was Canaan's idea, like independent of anything, to get the tattoo to match his.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It was just weird. It was so weird. It veered, well, and again, type Moon, it veered a little bit into, like, ex-girlfriend vibes. Like, before I was like, oh, this is Alphard. I was like, because who else could it be? I was like, is this the woman who trained Alphard? Because Alphard's a kid, and this woman is, like, giving me ex-girlfriend vibes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the game kind of does that too. Like, the two don't get along immediately once they meet each other.
Like, you know what this whole thing needed? It basically needed Minorikawa to take the script for it and go, no, do it all over again.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Minorikawa to be on the train and fix everything.
He's one of the passengers.
That works too, you know, but I mean, to be like, if we're just being honest with each other, you know, like, I don't even know that Minorikawa's presence could have saved this. I mean, it would have helped at least.
Well, this is a preview to the anime, and he's in the anime, so
I know. I'm going to watch it.
Yeah.
Man.
And what else? But Canaan, like, kind of brings up Maria, like, especially right at the end as she's, like, arriving in Japan, and she kind of, like, flashes back a little bit, but again, it's really just, like, there's not, like, that much to the relationship between Canaan and Maria other than, like, I met her and we became friends and, like, basically now we're in love. And that's the...
Like, they didn't explore that at all.
she had the same color as a big sister who died.
Yeah, which is, like, that's a Yuri if I ever saw one. It's the same color as my big sister. Are you kidding me? That color is called Strawberry Panic if you look it up in the Pantone catalog.
Like, I really would have rather they explored Canaan and Maria a little bit instead of what they did.
Yeah, but that's probably in the anime.
Well, I don't want to buy DLC or whatever it is they want me to do. I just...
Welcome to gaming in the 21st century, Poco. It's all DLC.
Oh, you want to find out about Canaan and Maria? I guess you have to buy this DLC pack.
Just keep opening these loot boxes until you get pieces.
We gotta find and watch an anime on an entirely separate platform.
I gotta tell you, I really found, like, the whole Canaan Maria thing so uninteresting. Like, in the main story, even. I just, like, I don't know. It was, like, just, I don't know. It was, like, all right, I shouldn't say so uninteresting, like, it just didn't hold my interest at all, but, like, I don't see, like, that being fleshed out and satisfying in any way. Like, we already got the story. Like, they met. She didn't know Cat's Cradle. The end. I don't know. Maybe I'm too cynical, but...
Yeah, it feels like if they, like... I guess, like, now that they're reunited, maybe there's, like, a story that's about to begin between the two of them. But, like, yeah, it was just kind of like, oh, we met each other long enough to have, like, a bond. But that was kind of it.
Right. The assassin and some girl who knew how to, like, knit, you know? Like, oh, no one's ever taught me Cat's Cradle before. You are my only friend now. Let me know if you ever get into some shit. Oh, you did. Again. Okay. You know, good. It was destiny that I save you constantly.
I like this little one-man show you just gave us.
Thank you.
And we don't get a resolution of, like, at the end of the like video part of the ending, the black tag ending. There's you know, Canaan and Alphard, like, face off against each other, and you hear, like, gunshots, and there's not a resolution of that. So we still don't know.
Yeah, the story ends just as Canaan is heading to do that.
Yeah.
2 friggin' hours to find out that's the ending you're gonna get. Mm-hmm.
I think there was a missed opportunity here for Canaan to arrive in Japan and everyone else be real and her still be anime.
Yeah, that would have really tied it together for me personally.
Like, it would have been a very strong stylistic choice. That's, you know, people from the Middle East just look like anime.
It's bold. That, you know, yeah, you're right, actually.
But Alphard wasn't an anime.
Oh, yeah,
like,
you know what? That's right. Well, the big plot twist is that she wasn't actually from there at all.
Yeah,
it's like the Christopher Lloyd thing, and then
it's the reverse Christopher Lloyd thing. So she's not a tune.
Right, exactly. Remember me, Canaan, when I killed your friend? Oh. For those of you who haven't seen that movie, though, please go do it and then re-listen to this podcast. That was a very funny reference.
Yeah. Just trust us. It was funny. Laugh.
So Canaan, the Canaan story, it was all right. It was a real Type Moon anime that we just watched. It made, you know, the requisite amount of sense for a Type Moon anime, and it had a sufficiently convoluted premise. It wasn't the worst anime that I've ever watched, that's for sure. So I can't be that mad about it, but I can't say it's great either.
Yeah, I think the only way I could recommend it is if you are achievement hunting Shibuya Scramble and you have to go through it. But frankly, if you put it on autoplay and go do something else, I really don't think you're missing all that much.
Tape the button down.
Except you need to be paying attention to it to jump back into other kind of bullshit.
That's fair. Yeah. But whatever. Whatever.
So that's Canaan. So now we know who Canaan is, so we can have sufficient emotions about the story.
Can I reveal one more interesting factoid about Canaan that I learned?
Yes.
That I already told you all beforehand, but we didn't have it on recording. So I didn't. I wasn't able to read all the Canaan story due to technical difficulties and travel and all like that. So I looked up some of it to try and figure out, what I missed. And some wires got crossed between the Canaan anime. So minor spoilers for the Canaan anime. But Canaan's real name is Despair.
What?
I have to see how this plays out in the anime. I don't really believe.
Like despair, the English word despair.
I don't know that.
You don't know that.
I feel like that's way funnier if it's the English word despair.
I hope it is the English word despair.
Like there was like a miscommunication somewhere.
Someone in the Middle East named their child that, yes.
And they're like, I just think it's a pretty word.
Also, please watch the sub version or the dub version for the anime. Anyone who's going to watch it.
Oh, absolutely.
But why should we do that, Warren Ronan?
Because I don't think 10 years ago dubs were very good, and this has my two favorite voice actors in it, in Japanese.
Yeah, I can imagine the level of intolerable that it might be an anime from 10 years ago with the English dubs. Oh, so there's your advice, folks. We will probably have to watch this anime. I don't know where to watch it. If it's somewhere easy to watch, then
well, I'm sure I can pick it up from.
We might need to pirate it.
I believe we can find it at a totally legitimate storefront that exists and is real.
We'll just go down to Blockbuster Video and rent the Canaan anime.
Yeah.
So that was Canaan. Do you guys feel any particular addition? Like, do you feel like this enhanced the story for you?
No.
I really thought it would more, but it didn't really.
I liked it. I liked Siam. I liked Canaan, and I liked Alphard, and I liked the whole thing.
Another thing I didn't super like about Siam's backstory is he waxes poetic for 3 paragraphs about the philosophy of a soldier or whatever, and I'm like, okay, Hideo Kojima, give me a break for I don't really need to hear this. And then he ends up being, he's the whole thing of it is at the end he's like, oh, I was wrong. I actually do. It is important to care about people and not kill people and stuff like that. So it was just a lot of description of his worldview. It's such we need it explained to us, the philosophy of a mercenary.
Well, there was also a lot of don't cry for me, I'm already dead kind of shit, which I didn't really care for.
Also, one political nitpick here. So. The original, the people who hired Canaan and Siam, who Alphard betrayed in the end, are supposed to be the Palestinian Authority. Mm-hmm. What are they going to do with this virus? I mean, it's such a small area. They can't really release it in Israel because it will affect them too, immediately.
It's almost like somebody's playing Tom Clancy, without really. Not that Tom Clancy was great either, mind you, but at least he kind of thought through some stuff. Not a lot.
It's literally a 20-minute drive from Palestine to Tel Aviv. It's like nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It's all in the same place.
Well, I don't know. This game played like fast and loose with what do you do with this killer virus? Like a lot of the time where it was just like, maybe the threat of the virus is even better. And it's like, no, you know what's even better than that? Having the cure. You know what I mean? Where it's like, I don't know, the virus itself was okay.
Well, they also aren't really clear on what Alphard's intentions really are, because it seems like she just wants to stir shit by having both sides not know who has the virus.
Yeah, she wants political tensions to rise high by like having the virus disappear and then being like, let's have everybody blame each other, you know?
Yeah, because she's the Joker, baby. She just wants to watch the world burn.
Well, they're weapon dealers, so I guess they have some advantage out of it if tensions are high.
Yeah, I know in movies that people are just like, wartime makes me a profit, you know, that kind of crap.
Yeah.
I don't know if they actually make more money if you trigger tensions to rise.
Well, like, how do you sell a killer virus? You can't really, like, test... Like, how do you know you're not being fleeced? You know what I mean? Like, you have to do, like, some kind of, like, thing where it's like, you have, like, 16 people for me to kill, and it's like, no? Like, what? Like, I'm, you know...
That's always the opening scene, though, in the movie, right? Where, like, the guy's in there, and then somebody releases the gas, and then he chokes and dies, and then two people look over him like, oh, I guess your virus works.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm just saying, like... You know, maybe I'm overthinking it, but I just feel like if you do something like that, I'm just like, well, why don't I just use like something we already have that we know works, like, you know, like nerve gas or something like that. It's like, no, but this is really good. Like, this will kill people so much faster. It's like, yeah, I don't know, like the cost benefit of this.
Don't you want to kill these people in a new and interesting way?
You don't want to be boring.
I'm not made of money here at Evil Incorporated, you know, like...
You're like, I feel like I've been repeating myself out lately in all my schemes.
You don't want to get into a rut.
Gotta shake it up now.
All of the like real life weapons dealers that listen to this podcast are like, that idiot, he doesn't understand how it works at all.
Yeah, could we get like an actual weapons dealer on here and tell us, you know, how it goes?
Somebody is going to post in the comments like Slowbeef knows exactly what he's talking about, and I wouldn't be surprised if he sold weapons on the side.
Oh,
which
wow.
I don't, Uncle Sam. But
we're going to get put on a list.
Wink. I sincerely doubt it. I think the FBI is going to be like, who the fuck?
No, I mean the person who comments that.
Oh, yeah, it's true.
I am certainly not Nick Cage in Lord of War.
Oh my god. Okay, let's talk about... Okay, so we've gone through the first stage of the emotional roller coaster that is all of this bonus content. So we've sort of been ascending, and now you know the initial part, and we've come right across. We're about to drop, and that first big drop is the Suzune story, Heartbeat of Spring, which totally
it's a very
like,
straight take on the thick girl anime trope.
It's like this is like such a like, oh, I'm gonna spend like, I'm on a date with my boyfriend, and we each picked a movie to watch, and he picked the first movie and I picked the second.
This Nicholas Sparks thing looks really good.
Yeah. Oh my god. Oh, I cried so much. I cried for real with this.
Did you really?
I did too.
Oh my god.
I actually did too.
I was, and afterwards I was like, I can't believe that 428 Shibuya Scramble is making me cry this much, but it was so heart-wrenching. I was like, oh my god, what is this?
Oh my god.
It made Achi cry too.
Yep.
To be fair, yeah, actually.
Slobby, you had a change of heart about this because you talked to me through it while you were playing.
Yeah, well, first things first, I actually did not know that sick girl was a trope.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe I have to turn in my nerd card or something, because I'm like, what the hell is this? And you were like, oh, it's a sick girl trope. And I'm like, what? Like, and then you gave me like a TV tropes page, and I'm like, wow, that's the thing. Okay. So I was annoyed because I felt like this was going to be your bog standard notebook bullshit that I will never forgive my wife for making me watch. What about the War Widow notebook? Anyway, sorry. So like,
oh yeah, I remember getting mad about the notebook too.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll get there.
That's a separate podcast.
After I read Foucault and go on a Tom Clancy rant, okay, we'll go to the notebook. No, but anyway, Yeah, so I will say though, like I was like, I know exactly where this story's going, and it frankly didn't go where I think it was going. So it kind of like grabbed my interest again, and then I thought it was not so bad, you know. But you know, the brief summary of it, I guess. I don't know who wants to take this one.
I can take this one.
Take it.
Yeah.
Do it.
So it follows Suzune, who is in the hospital with another little boy around 14 years old, I believe. And his name was Takuya. And he has a liver disorder where copper is not being expelled from his system, and it makes him weak and tired. So it kind of follows his story where he is in his room and he's looking out and he sees Suzune out in the courtyard occasionally. And it's this sort of young love crush kind of thing where he's admiring her and he wants to talk to her. You know, he wants to know what to say, if he needs to sound cool or mature or whatever. And he makes the journey out to the courtyard when he sees her one day, and it's a little difficult for him because he's got his disorder and gets tired easily. But they talk for a little bit, and they kind of establish this sort of relationship where he wants to get closer to her. And Suzune is this character that is always smiling and spending time with other people there. And he's feeling a little jealous because he wants to get closer to her. And that kind of develops into, what happens next?
And Takuya has kind of like a cynical and nihilistic view on sort of life and everything like that, as, you know, someone with an illness that he's, you know, they're all in this area of the hospital because they're waiting on a transplant, one kind of transplant or another, and waiting on a donor. And so he, you know, him and Suzune are in similar positions waiting for organ donors, but he has a very negative internal monologue kind of about things. And even when Suzune talks to him, he's like, you know, like, what's the point of learning about things, you know, where this, like... Right,
because they have this conversation where it's Suzune in her free time. She studies and talks to people and does that kind of stuff. And I keep forgetting his name. Takuya? Takoyaki. Takuya just kind of watches TV and doesn't see the point of it because he kind of knows that he's not going to grow up to have a normal life, so he doesn't see the point.
He just watches Seinfeld all day. It's very sad.
Yeah.
Ooh, that is sad.
In English, too. He doesn't even know what the fuck they're saying.
He just laughs at the funny sounding words.
He just absorbs the cynicism regardless.
Yeah, and Suzune is the opposite. She's kind of perfect, and she knows she's going to die, but she's very brave and smiles and makes friends with everyone.
She keeps all the seniors entertained.
This is why it made me cry, because Suzune has this moment, like, it switches perspective to Suzune, and she has this moment of, like, admitting to herself privately that she, like, puts on this facade of strength to everybody else, when inside she's actually very afraid, and she's afraid that she's going to die. And, like, same. I was, like, crying about that because I was like, oh my god, like, that's a big mood of people who are chronically ill.
Yeah.
That was, I think, when it, like, kind of caught my attention then, and I'm like, okay, this isn't going to be, like, just bog standard, you know, nonsense or whatever. You know what I mean?
It was very, like, it was very sweet. But the characterization of it, you know, she knows that, like, she's very painfully aware that she could not wake up the next day, and she's afraid that she's going to die. And she's so afraid, but she also feels like she doesn't want to burden the people around her with that fear because they can't do anything to fix it, really. And she has this moment where this nurse, this, like, angel nurse appears out of nowhere and is like, I'll sit with you. It's her mom, yeah. It's her mom, yeah. Her mom appears as a nurse and, like, sits with her at night and helps her fall asleep and feel better. And so that was it's cheesy, but the emotions that are expressed, the fear, was, there's a lot, the like the rawness of the theme of the the fear of death and the knowledge that they are going to die, I feel like is not something that is like stereotypically a part of these kinds of stories. In the sick girl story of like that sort of real world, like, oh yeah, like we're two like young people and like we're probably gonna die and we've got to deal with that reality. Like we can't, even though the adults around us kind of might try to gloss over it or not dwell on it, like we still know.
So yeah, I was kind of expecting this story to be more like, like your typical kind of like, I don't, like, I guess visual novel romance kind of thing where it's like a doomed relationship kind of thing. And Suzune, this is where we have to say goodbye to Suzune, but at least she gets love one last time kind of thing. But they take it in a different direction, which I mean, again, I'm not super familiar with this genre, but I thought was pretty original, Yeah.
It's very sweet.
So there's kind of a developing, kind of intrigue in that the boy's nurse doesn't want him to see Suzune, and likewise Suzune's nurse doesn't want her to see him. And it's not really clear because it was kind of hand waved as, you could get sicker, you need to stay in bed or some other such thing. But it's eventually revealed that it's because they both have the same blood type. And if
Bombay blood.
Yep. And if they were to know that, then it would create a situation where they know that they were compatible. And I don't know exactly what the issue is, but it would probably make things uncomfortable.
They would be in like a high school murder session.
Right. It would be a good motive is the thing.
Yeah. The thing is that they deliberately put them in the same hospital because they knew one of them will die and the other will get the organs. Which makes sense. I mean, it's really sad to say, but if you really have two people with this kind of rare blood type, then that's what you probably do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Suzune is kind of trying to see Takayama more by going by his room, and she can't really get in. The nurses always shoo her away. And
Ooh. Wait a minute. Why doesn't Daisuke get to Tenno to kill him, the kid?
Well, because he doesn't talk to his daughter about her life, apparently, so he's not aware of these things.
Okay, sorry, it just fucking hit me. Anyway,
why couldn't we have gotten the cute little boy murdered instead?
Well, I mean, it was just such a longer shot to kill Marie. You know what I mean?
Also, Tenno has proven he would not hesitate.
Suzune doesn't know that Takuya has Bombay blood until like the very last minute.
Right.
He doesn't tell
in
her.
fact, she doesn't.
She tells
find
him,
out.
but he doesn't tell her.
But I'm just saying, like, for the hospital to have done this, like, somebody's got to know, right? Or I don't know.
Well, that was just another part of the plan's imperfections.
I feel like that doctor was like, not going to tell this guy something about him. I don't think I'm going to mention there's another kid here with Bombay blood.
Well, also,
Right.
the only reason that Daisuke knows is because Alphard tries to use him in the plans and tells him.
I say. Anyhow.
Yeah, so it looks like Takuya is getting worse for the wear. Suzune doesn't see him for a while. And she finally sees him being rushed out of his room one day. He's lost consciousness. He's on the brink of death. And he keeps saying that, what day is it? It's April 5th. He's trying to make it to his 15th birthday, which is in 3 weeks. And the doctor says that there's like an experimental surgery they can do with like a pig organ or something to try and give him an artificial liver. And he's just pleading, whatever, I don't care what the risks are, just give me 3 more weeks, it'll be fine.
That's so funny that he's saying that and like the parents have no dialogue.
Yeah.
That was the most unrealistic part of it. He was like, Doc, whatever you gotta do. And like his parents are just off screen.
They're like shrugging and making the face like, I don't know, whatever the kid says.
Artificial parents.
Whatever he wants. I don't know. We wrote him off already.
Oh my God.
It's not even voice acted. So like the parents could have had any number of lines to be like, we agree with our son. But there was no lines like that.
Also, yeah, can like a little 14-year-old boy make these kind of demands and the parents don't have to sign anything? Is that
Absolutely not. No.
So So that was just a weird, like, little writing oversight. I feel like they could have at least had the parents, like, be like, we agree. We talked about this with him. Like, we know what he wants to do, and we agree. But they don't have that line. They're just like, hang in there, Takuya.
No, Suzune never sees the parents, by the way.
Yeah, that's another thing that super would have happened if this was real that does not happen in this. And also, it's very common for there's a whole rose parade float about it. Like it's common for people who their children die and they donate organs. Like they are able to be put in contact with the people who. If they like agree to it, they can be connected with the people who got those organs and like say like thank you or whatever.
Yeah, like some people are friends that way.
Yeah, so that was a weird thing, but I can understand that the doctor wouldn't be able to say it, maybe for legal reasons. Like the family would have to agree to say it instead.
But anyway, they give him the pig artificial liver, and Suzune's out in the hall with the doctor, and that's where she finds out that he has Bombay blood. And she is immediately just like, take my liver. I'm compatible with him. But the doctor's like, no, you can't do that. First of all, you'd have to be married, which, you're not of legal age. And that's a whole other issue. But her heart kind of starts giving out there and she passes out and wakes up sometime later.
Yeah, it grew three sizes that day, which is really bad if you have a condition.
What they don't show is the Grinch just immediately died afterwards.
I was kind of hoping this would turn into that Christmas story. Like, I gave you a heart for Christmas, but I gave you my liver.
Oh, yeah. Gift of the Magi. like they have them in their hands.
But like if she had reacted calmly to this situation, I wasn't sure if it was clear, like if she had like not been there and she had been in her room, I guess because of the blood type, they would have still been like, oh yeah, we're gonna rush you to the operating room, but like she just also happened to go into cardiac arrest and be in critical condition at that moment, so she was already like she was gonna die if she didn't get that heart right that second, coincidentally anyway. It just like made me wonder what would have happened if she was like calm.
We also know this is the day that the main game happens. Which, did you notice the date?
No, actually, I didn't notice that.
What do you think it is?
It's April 28th, of course. 4/28.
Oh my fucking god.
Oh, now that you say it, I did notice that, but I didn't make the connection. Womp womp.
There goes the mystery.
So she wakes up and she starts to put the pieces together that if she's alive, what happened to Takuya? And the doctor comes in and he's like kind of has to dance around it because he's not legally allowed to say that Takuya is the one who donated his heart, but he's like tells the story of like, well, this is how Takuya, this is how the end of his life went, and that he gave his heart to someone, like that someone received his heart who needed it, who was in critical condition at the time, and
because it's Achi's sister, she's like me, right? And he's
but he can't say it. And no, she's smarter. She's way smarter than him.
After the transplant, she just starts acting like Achi.
Yeah, right. So then the doctor also he's like, oh, Takuya had a letter for you, and so Achi's there, and Achi reads the letter to her, and it's just a very sweet letter that's like, oh, thanks for he says like that he loved her, but it was like her perspective on things like made him feel like, he could actually do something with his life instead of his life just being a waste. And that he felt like, if he got to help her, she's such a great person and she deserves to live. And so his life being for that made it seem like it wasn't meaningless, that he had been alive. And, it was very sweet, and it was like, now I wish I could have gotten to be with you longer, but now I get to be with you always.
Yeah, it turns out that the reason he was trying to survive to 15 was because he's able to donate his organs. He can be an organ donor in Japan at age 15. He can't beforehand. So he survived those last 3 weeks just to be able to donate his heart to Suzune.
Yeah, and Achi's crying at the end of the letter.
Yeah.
I wish there had been a picture of that, but I guess that would have ruined the tone of just Achi just crying, just really ugly crying at this letter. And that was Heartbeat of Spring, and the music is really sad, and I was like, oh my god.
It was really good.
So it was very sweet. That was fun. Not fun, but it was sweet. It was a pleasant little experience if you need to cry about something and you need to kind of really get it going. That's the movie to watch.
I have Inside Out, thank you.
That it also showed though, because it's just a completely different narrative at this point. It's just, that is a romantic tearjerker, and the style of this visual novel works perfectly for it. And it's like, why don't they do more of these? Because it's clearly can go from wacky to...
They have a lot more like these kind of stories in visual novels.
Oh, okay.
There's an entire company that only does these kind of stories.
That is some great stuff. I think it works really well.
Mm-hmm. And so far we've had Canaan. And now we've had Heartbeat of Spring, so we took that we're going really fast on this roller coaster. We've gone down our first big thing, your stomach flip flops and you're headed off and like, what could possibly be next? And you see up ahead of you some kind of corkscrew, perhaps, or loop de loop, and you say, oh, whoa, what's up next for my emotions? And it's Mean Clean.
Mean Clean.
So,
Mean Clean sucks.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
No.
The rest of you can talk about it. That's my review. Mean Clean sucks. That's all I have to say about it.
I liked Mean Clean.
By the way, when we say Mean Clean, we're not talking about Achi's alter ego. We're talking about the actual Mean Clean,
the character on his shirt,
the trash bottle,
the story. Story sucks. That's my take.
Oh, it's my
Wait,
God.
hold on. What about the sniper? What about Juice?
The sniper. No, sorry. Juice Malone is great. I that is the one part of it that I enjoyed. Yes.
I don't know how to describe the Mean Clean story.
Somebody was really friggin' stoned, I think.
What voices do you think they speak with? Because in my mind, Mean Clean was Squidward, the juice box was SpongeBob, and the coffee was Patrick.
I think you mean Big Joe and Flaps. So what's going on is the third story is that in the explosion, the character on Achi's shirt, Mean Clean, comes off, and he is a water bottle with a puncture, so he's bleeding, so he's on borrowed time.
He's got a hole in his stomach.
Yeah, and Achi's shirt actually doesn't have him anymore later on.
Yeah.
So it's canon that Mean Clean popped off his shirt and came to life.
Yeah.
More than canon, it means this was planned.
It was part of Alphard's plan.
I mean, the writer of this whole thing was like, you know what, listen, I got this idea for a bonus thing where fucking Mean Clean comes out, and like the producer of it's like, you got it. Like, we'll get these shirts made. We'll get 2 of them identical. And it's like, you don't want to ask me any more questions? Nope. You sold me. We're doing it.
And if you haven't played through this part or don't want to see it, it basically looks like the Bill on Capitol Hill cartoon. Like it's literally just like I'm a bottle with arms, and I'm just I'm a milk carton with legs, and like it's literally just campy, cartoony stuff.
Like early PowerPoint clip art.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very weird. But Mean Clean, used to like pick up trash and like I don't even know if I can do this summary.
But you have to.
Am I the one? All right.
I'm not doing it.
I wasn't volunteering you. But oh god. Okay, so basically Mean Clean used to be on the streets of Shibuya picking up trash and recycling and stuff, and he got recycled into Achi's shirt, and then at the explosion at about 5:40 in the main story, he jumps off of Achi's shirt and meets with two other pieces of trash, a bent coffee can named Big Joe and an empty juice box named Flaps, which is kind of awesome.
I got a question. How do we get from Fata Morgana to this? What choices in life did we make in which we're with?
In a former life, Mean Clean was a servant. It turned out Flaps was nobility.
And Juice Malone's a psychopath. I don't know how they're going to convince him, but anyway.
There's a couple extra chapters in Fata Morgana they skipped over.
I should mention too, this is a pain in the ass, and I don't know how you get this story without a guide. Because, like, you have to go back to the main story, and now there's new tips, and every time you click on one, you get part of the story, but there's 5 total, which I guess means, like, you're intended to go through the main story again, and this time try and find, like, these jumps. Because now there's, like, jumps that are like, and this fellow, you know, or whatever, that now go to Mean Clean's story, you know. So it's I obviously used a guide, but anyway, so there's like a big garbage monster that's gonna take over Shibuya, more or less, and it's like a little green like goo thing that's like in the sewers, and they figure out that actually the reason there's like a second explosion that happened after the van, and it was caused by this evil garbage monster who was specifically trying to kill Mean Clean so he could take over Shibuya with garbage. And he's gonna do that by causing like a big methane explosion. And Flaps is like a fucking chemist, because he will explain everything that has to do with like methane and it's like he really goes into this absurd technical detail, and he is a discarded juice box, so whatever. Mean Clean and the garbage monster get into a fight, and he's rescued by Juice Malone, who is a sniper, a juice bottle really, with like a broken neck, you know, and he has like sunglasses, and he's cool as hell, and he never misses his mark. He's like basically like a Juice Golgo 13. Yeah. I don't know if I'd say I laughed out loud on the bus when I saw Juice Malone, but I definitely made some kind of sound. Because he is kind of out of nowhere, and it is a pretty funny goof. Anywho, so anyway, the big dramatic moment is the garbage monster's going to take over. They can't burn him, they can't explode him or anything.
And there's like an old liquor bottle that plays the drunky old guy that he kills.
Right. Yeah, it's like a sake cup or can that was turned like into like a potted plant.
Yeah,
and he's like the drunk old man who's like, I forget what the hooch is what they call him, right?
Yeah, and he's turned into like shochu or something.
Yeah, that's right. And they're like, Shooch is all drunk and stuff, but the garbage monster eats him, and they eventually go for round 2, but even Juice Malone can't shoot him, and the garbage monster eats Flaps and Big Joe, and Mean Clean's like running out of water, you know, he's gonna die, but then what should he come across but the dry ice machine? So he fills himself with dry ice, gets knocked into the river, so he's got water.
This is great, honestly. The dry ice machine saves the day once again.
So he like kind of jumps up to the garbage monster full of river water and dry ice, and he says, "Juice, shoot me! Just do it!" So Juice Malone starts shooting him a lot, and he basically
he's like, "Keep shooting me, keep shooting."
Yep, and he explodes and destroys the garbage monster, but it wasn't like a fiery explosion. Because there's also a point when Flaps is about to be eaten, and he's got a lighter he learned how to use, and he's like, "Don't use the lighter, the methane will explode." And Flaps is kind of like, "Oh, right," and then goes into like how that would be happen.
It's great because Flaps at the end is like jumping up, like, "Come on, you son of a bitch, I'll take you down."
Yeah.
Yes, and then Mean Clean has to be like, "No, don't use your flame," so he turns it off and then gets consumed just as he's explaining things again.
Yeah, exactly. I thought this was honestly a pretty good gag, all in all. But that said, so basically the monster's defeated. They wake up, you know, Big Joe and Flaps are there. I think Hooch is there too. Maybe not. Flaps and Big Joe are there, and like, and they're like, "Well, where's Mean Clean?" And he's completely empty and he's all destroyed. He goes, don't worry, you know, I always come back, you know,
because he's recyclable.
Exactly. And he's like, and they're like lifting him to the recycling bin, and he's like, wait, take off my cap. And they're like, but the cap's the only thing that's holding you together. And he's like, don't you know you always take the cap off a water bottle before you put it in a recycling bin? Which I didn't. But so
because the cap's plastic and it's not recyclable.
Oh, there you go. So that's the story of Mean Clean. Yeah. What the hell?
It's so bizarre.
It's so bizarre. I do like that the dry ice machine factored in, though. That was pretty great.
That was like someone's like really bored in a weekend and like, hey, I got something I'm gonna put in the game. Like the senior engineer was like, I'm putting this in. I don't care what anyone says.
I spent the whole weekend watching Newgrounds original animations, and I've got a pitch for you.
Newgrounds is beyond my time, unfortunately. I was too old to put on Newgrounds, but now I can put my idea for the Flash cartoon in this visual novel. I swear. The long con from the Shibuya Scramble writers.
So I looked back at it, and the reason that Mean Clean comes off of Achi's shirt is because he sees a piece of shrapnel coming for Achi, so he decides to jump off of the shirt and save his life.
Yeah.
That's right, that's right. And it turns out the garbage specifically did that to kill Achi, but Mean Clean... Or no, to kill Mean Clean, I think. Yeah, so... What the hell, Shibuya Scramble?
Oh, yeah, there were a bunch of fart jokes in there too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was not really. I said this before we recorded, but this is the Monokuma theater of this game. Like, this is the like V3 break to listen to the children throw up, and it's a certain color which predicts the future. Like, it's exactly that level.
Yeah. But you know what the thing is? Like, that fits in Danganronpa a little better. I feel like, you know what I mean? Like, than this fit in Shibuya Scramble.
Yeah. But that like type of humor was absent from this game up until now, and it was like, there it is. You can't hide it from me, Spike Chunsoft.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think, yeah. Yep.
It was like that one writer was like, damn it, I get in every other game. Where do I get to go in this game? And they're like, just wait at the end. We'll get you in the end.
Where can I put all my bad, shitty jokes? Oh, fine. We'll put them in a little cartoon where they belong.
Just write them down in your notebook. We'll use them later.
Wait. We gotta get a whole new shirt for Achi for this? Like, yes. You know, his nephew works at Nintendo. We have to.
Mean Clean. But when you beat Mean Clean, you get a version of the credits that has bloopers in it, which is very cute.
Oh, yeah.
It's great.
That is great, yeah.
That was great.
And, yeah, we get Jack Woodyard.
Oh, yeah, speaking in English.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about Jack Woodyard in this podcast, though, I think. We talked about
you're right.
Let's talk about it.
All right.
What we found out about Jack Woodyard.
Jack Woodyard, you know, he's more than just an actor, you know. Hold on, let me Google his.
He's a philosopher too.
Mm-hmm. Oh, look, I have it in my browser history. Jack Woodyard. There's
this thing.
Goddamn, Jack Woodyard.
Plays Jack Stanley, by the way, in the game.
He plays Jack Stanley. He's wandering, pondering. Very nice. Oh my God, this website. Love life, perfect life. Wait, or he means perfect. Okay. Love life, perfect life, beautify life. It is your art. Huh? Life's your art? Well, anyway, he's a writer, director, husband, dad, and stirrer of the Cosmic Oatmeal. And all of this is like kind of just like, you know, all right, what? The guy's got a blog. What's the big deal, you know? But he has like really like, actually, what were we talking about before with the writing where it's like really dense and like kind of circuitous for no reason and like this one blog post like, hi Jack, the EA pronunciation always kicked me in the gut. English let him grandstand in front of local clients. His 2-word questions, my answers. Like, this is the start of a blog post. Like, you didn't miss out any context or whatever. But there's like poems, there's just like prose and stuff, but a lot of like that kind of new age life coach kind of prose, you know, like
it's wild, folks. It's not at all what you would expect the man's personality to be, especially because the only exposure we have of him is the character he plays in this game.
Yeah.
Who barely talks.
Life is so much more than God's classroom. Like, whoa, okay. Like,
Wow.
Jeez. Sometimes it feels like God's giving us a nice little wallop, but if I look at the circumstances behind the wallop, there's a good chance I have something to do with it. And if I didn't, I just have to find a way to accept it. Like, and then I don't think you spell wallop, W-O-L-L-O-P, but it's there. Yeah, God. There's like stuff about him having sex and like, it's just like a...
I don't recall that much.
Wasn't there like something? I don't know. I just remember one post-podcast talk we were going through Jack Woodyard's
We went very long into this.
Yeah, there's a lot of purple prose on that website. It's a journey, you know. It's a lot of great life advice there if you check them out. So that was our fun little aside.
And time to reveal my real name, Jack Woodyard.
Oh no!
Oh my God,
Jack, if you've been listening, we apologize.
You'd think that Jack Woodyard would need to cosplay as a something awful paywall in order and would be stopped by the paywall to see the Danganronpa official translation, unofficial translation. But there you have it. So what else? What else is there? There's the quiz.
Oh, the quiz. Yes, the quiz.
You also unlock the quiz by beating the game, and every question that you answer in the quiz gives you like a little short and then also a cool code to put in somewhere in the game to get another little bonus short.
Yeah, there are 22 of them, 22 little shorts, which is a lot.
This is where I was like, this is too much for me.
Yeah, because that's the thing is like you have to answer all the quiz questions right. But then this is how it works. They ask you a question. You have to type it in. What's that? You're playing on PC and you use your keyboard to type things in? No, mon frere. There's an on-screen keyboard. You get to use the cursor keys and the enter key and like navigate to and type it as if you were on console. Thanks.
Yep.
Spaces and hyphens do matter for these questions. They're not easy. Well, all right, they vary, but the first question, for example, is how many nanometers is the UA virus? Anybody want to take a guess at that one? You're looking for a 3-digit number. They give you that hint.
428.
It's 100.
It's 100.
I did that one question and I didn't know what it was and I just guessed 100 because I was like, what? How could they possibly have? I mean, if it was 428, I would remember it. So it must be 100 because that's an easy number.
I guessed 111 and then quit.
Yeah, I used the answer guide.
Yeah, you should use the guide because they expect you to go back to the game and look it up.
Yeah, but so here's the thing.
They expect wrong.
You get one question right. You get a picture of Tama that's kind of discolored, like in the labyrinth, you know, and it says correct. And you hear someone's voice to say like correct or bingo. You know, it's subtitled. I couldn't really hear them, honestly. And then, sorry, I'm also trying to like scroll for Oren's like the thing you posted. But anyway, then you get an epilogue for one of the side characters in the game. Like the first one you get are those two guys who are like kind of shaking down.
Yeah, the two
Toyama.
loan sharks.
Yeah, exactly. And it's kind of funny and stuff. And I don't know if we want to go through them. I don't. But I'll just like gloss this over to understand the quiz.
Some are funnier than others, and we talked about streaming them maybe. So maybe we should.
Yeah, I think we're gonna like stream that.
There are some I really liked. There's one with what is his name? Katayama, the guy who shows up late in the game.
Yeah.
So he calls customer support for an instant ramen company because the ramen wasn't done in 3 minutes, like it said it would be. And that one I really liked. It was really funny.
That's great.
There's the Yanagishita one is fun too. There's all kinds of...
Yeah, I liked his. You know what the problem was? The Katayama one makes you wait 20 seconds, like in real time, because he starts to like see like how good his internal clock is. So he's like, time 20 seconds, and without a clock, I'll do it. But they make you wait real time, and my bus stop was coming. So I was like, don't do this to me, you know, but Yeah, I'm trying to find the answer key so I can like get the question. Oh, here that is. Yeah. I don't know if we want to do that on stream or here, but there's 11 questions.
We should probably stream that. There are some fun
let's
sketches
stream it then.
in
That'd be fun. Yeah.
And you can't just go through it real quick because there's a little skit after you answer each question correctly. So you would have to like go through all of that before you could give us the next question.
Exactly. Yeah. I was gonna. Yeah, exactly.
But yeah,
I was gonna cheat and use the answer key, but now looking at it, I don't remember the questions for some reason.
Yeah, the answer key doesn't say what the questions are. At least the ones that we were looking at.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll cut all this out if we don't actually stream it. But it was neat. That's like a little too much. It's a little too much for me, like in terms of like how hard I'm willing to work for like bonus content. But I do like the intrigue around how it's set up, like that it's set, like secret codes and stuff. That's fun.
Yeah, no, it's fun. It's a neat little thing they did. I appreciate the effort, I guess, you know.
There's also a little mini game after you finish the min cleaning story.
Oh, yes.
Oh, I didn't play it.
I loaded it up, read the rules, and was like, no, thank you.
So this is a version of a very old game called Dor, which is a Famicom game. It's a Nintendo game.
Did you say Dor?
Yes.
Dor.
It was programmed by the president of Chunsoft, who was a programmer back then in the 70s or the 80s or whenever that was. So it's a version of Dodo with min cleaners instead of whatever the Dodo character was. And it plays like a Flash game. It's really bad.
Which really is just completing the circle of Mean Clean being from Newgrounds, basically.
And after you get all the quiz sketches, you get the golden bookmark. Mm-hmm. And that unlocks one other final thing. That's the conspiracy endings. There are two of them. And they're basically impossible to get without following a guide. At least in Japanese.
We're going to try.
At least in Japanese. In English, it's a little easier to figure out what you have to do. We can talk about it if we stream it.
We are going to stream it, and if you don't see that stream, then you missed it.
They're very short, by the way. Each conspiracy ending is like 2 minutes long, so it's not much.
Good, okay. Cool, because I also have to get back to more Blasphemous, and anyway, so
that's a lot of work. You really gotta love the game, you know, to put that much effort into it, and
or maybe you really want the platinum trophy.
Yeah, good thing we got us one of those.
Well, I mean, I'm on the PC version, so you know, it's no platinum, but we can call it 100%.
So that's all the bonus content for 428 Shibuya Scramble.
That's it.
Yep.
There's a lot of stuff. There's so much stuff after the game is done. You're like, you've got so much left over.
It's a lot, yeah.
You don't have to do
Only
it.
Cheery could take this much content. Sorry.
Oh, the Cheery sketch, by the way, is kind of weird.
It's maybe not as bad as we're making it sound right now, but it's not. It's like
I don't know.
Like,
I didn't know what to think of it.
Let me do that summary real quick. Like, basically. What is the pharmaceutical company? Koshi Pharmaceuticals. Yeah. They find out that Cheery basically has this enzyme that processes food really quickly. But then, so they're trying to examine her, but like surreptitiously, not like literally examine her, you know, just to see like how this works and if they can use it in like weight loss stuff. But then like she goes on a diet, so they have to like entice her by putting like bakeries and stuff around. So it's like this big conspiracy to like keep her heavy, which again, I really must emphasize, she is not that heavy.
No, just not at all.
No, like it just doesn't, like, give it the fuck up, Shibuya Scramble. But you know, so it's like funny, but also like, all right, like, it's, you know,
the joke gets old because I mean it's a normal looking woman who just like, they're like, oh my god, she's so huge, flee.
like I was just thinking the other day too about like, we can't get by her on the elevator, and it's like, you absolutely can. Just look.
Well, she's larger than average for a Japanese person 10 years ago. the population has gone a little heavier in the last 10 years.
You still could have gotten by her on that escalator.
Yeah, you could. You definitely could.
Yeah, it wasn't really the effect that the writing would imply that it is.
Jeez.
Oh man. Well, that'll be a fun adventure for us later, maybe, if we stream that. When we stream that.
You're all saying if. I mean, I know I'm doing it, so
That's true. I mean, you do always keep your promises, as evidenced by the Hell Case of Pizza stream. So you're right. When we will actually stream it.
Yeah. Yes.
Yep.
What's your next sub goal, by the way, for the people, for the listeners?
I'm making a Mountain Dew Game Fuel cake.
That sounds fine.
Soda-based cakes.
What do you mean that sounds fine?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably like a citrusy flavored cake. Compared to the Hell Case of Pizza.
That'll keep you awake for it. Yeah, I mean...
I'm not sure if, like, a lemon cake and a Mountain Dew cake are comparable, though.
What's a lemon cake? Like, what do you mean? Not what's a lemon cake. I know what a lemon cake is, but I mean, like, do you mean, like, a lemon cake that you usually make, like, a soda cake? Like, that's what it comes out to, or...
I don't know. I have no idea what a soda cake is.
Oh, so the idea for this recipe is you can apparently make cakes out of like Pepsi or things like that. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can use it in as the liquid in the cake. Yeah, for sure. Or is this like a specific recipe that requires the bubbles of the soda?
Yeah, I think it makes it a little fluffier and stuff.
I did not realize this was an actual thing.
I've heard of those kind of recipes before, yeah.
Because there's soda bread. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love soda bread, for the record.
Okay, I guess it sounds a little bit better now.
I think it's going to be just fine. It's going to be too sweet, and it's going to be like not a great citrus flavor, probably. But I mean, compared to the Case of Pizza.
Well, that was disgusting. That was one of the most disgusting things I've ever eaten in my life.
Unless you replace one of the ingredients in the cake with cinnamon.
Yeah. Does anybody, I mean, are people on the podcast even going to know what we're talking about? I made a bad thing, okay? So, yeah. All right.
They know. They were there.
I didn't watch it live, but I skipped through it afterward.
That's the important part.
There's one.
Well, I mean, tasting it is the important part.
Is important the word you wanted to use there?
If tasting it is the most important, the second most important is when you threw water in the pan of hot oil and it just fucking exploded.
Well, all right, to be fair, I mean, I didn't realize I had that much goddamn water on my hands. I don't know. It was like...
I also wonder, did the house smell like that for a while? That must have been a weird smell to wake up to.
Nah, I mean, if it did, like, you know, my wife didn't complain or anything, so...
Oh, that's
good.
Know.
Yeah, no. The worst... The weirdest one, though, was for this podcast, and I told this, or it was when I had to make that cake for... I'm blanking on her name. You know when we did Analog A Hate Story?
Yes.
Yep. And we had to make the cake for Hyunmei?
Oh, Hyune, yeah. Hyune.
Yeah, Hyune, that's it, thank you. And, like, I had to, like, sneak it kind of past my wife because, like, I was sick and I didn't want her to know. Because then I'm like, you know, I guess, like, the way I would want to tell that story is, like, that's not, like, adultery, right? Like, if you make...
Oh, my God, I forgot about this whole debate. Oh, so stupid.
Because, like, if you don't tell your wife you're making a cake for your digital girlfriend, you know?
Right. You added sufficient amount of intrigue where it became, like, a question of whether or not this was cheating or not. The act of keeping it a secret, right. like moved it closer to the edge of that definition.
You know what? All right. My big life's regret, by the way, is when I went to visit Rooster Teeth at one point. They were nice enough to invite me there, and I was on their podcast, and it was a lot of fun and everything. At one point, they were talking about Austin, and they kind of weren't including me, which was fine, you know. But like, Lindsay, I guess, felt really bad for me, and she goes like, Slow Beef, what's the craziest thing you ever did for a Let's Play? And I'd spent the whole day with like tasers and piles of swords that they have in their office that they just fuck around with for fun. And I'm like a deer in headlights, because I'm like fucking nothing comparatively, you know? And then later I thought, you know what would have been a great story? The time I cheated on my wife for a visual novel. But next time. Yeah. Anyway.
Oh, it's even better for them without as much context of what was going on at the time, so it becomes even more suspicious.
Yeah.
Well, judging by that anyway, though, I guess we should call it a night before Oren has to like.
That's Shibuya.
That's Shibuya, yeah.
I have to work.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah,
Okay.
sorry. Okay.
Let him go. Let him be free.
Let him go. All right.
All right, thanks for joining us. We'll let you know when we pick the next game, folks.
Yep. Little bit of a hiatus, but then good fight. Then we'll pick one, and good fight. Good night.
Good night, folks.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Right.